My girlfriend just ended our 4-year relationship after I did some poking and prodding. We have a house, a life, I just finished saving for a ring last week. Tomorrow we have reservations for our 4-year anniversary. And I'm hyperventilating a bit. The story is a little complicated. She's had a hereditary disease her whole life. We started dating when she was in remission, of sorts, and she got sick again about a year in. It's been a mess of new drugs, sickness, health, etc. for her. We've made it through together, it made our bond very strong. I own my own business, so I was able to work and support us both when she couldn't work her full-time job. However, this business found me pretty successful at a young age. I fell into a deep depression. She helped me through that just by being there, but it's been rough. I gained back 90 of the 100 pounds I lost in high school, drank heavily, I became much more withdrawn, I lost my lust for life. All for a business. She's always been the type to never speak up. She never wants to upset anyone to a fault. She was walked all over in past relationships, jobs, etc. I pushed as hard as I could to figure out simple things, like what she wants to eat for dinner. Her doctors had a note not to trust what she says because she's oftentimes more sick than she says she feels. About 18 months ago we made the decision to move, after living together for a year, out of the city. The city was killing us, and we picked out a house in our dream location. I purchased it knowing full well it's not smart to own a house with, and so you're not married to. We made the decision she'd finally quit her job and go back to school for a career she loves. It took her our whole relationship to do so. I've been supporting us 100% the whole time, without her asking. She's always felt terrible about it. This change kicked me out of my depression. We were in a place that I could thrive in, she could go to school and work and we could have a family. I hired people, started working a normal schedule, stopped drinking heavily, and most importantly my focus was life again, not business. I was living for experiences. She loved the change in me, we were more active, she dove into school, and all was good. We talked heavily about marriage, had a rough time frame, everything was going really great. Then she got sick in October. Really sick. 6 weeks in the hospital. I hired extra people and commuted 5 hours a day to see her, only missing 3 days. She ultimately had surgery and has been recovering at home the past month, able to get out and about a bit. I noticed a change as she was in the hospital. She wasn't excited to see me. I started having panic attacks when I got home due to the hours and schedule. I had thoughts of overwhelming dread that she was actually falling out of our relationship. We talked about it and she assured me that was not the case, and through some reading I found that these thoughts were part of the depression I thought was gone. As she's been home recovering, I've done everything I can. I noticed our sporadic conversations about the future stopped. She turned away or changed the subject when I mentioned kids. She never kissed me, I had to kiss her. No hugs, no nothing. So finally tonight I just pushed her. I could only ask you okay? So much, as I had the past 4 months. She broke. She said she had a lot of time to think in the hospital. She said she wasn't living for herself, and she needs to find herself, and she feels horrible because for 4 years I've pushed her daily to find her passions and follow them, not to think of others first in such an extreme. I did this because that's what I do. I work my dream job, and I want that for her. She says she feels like she's holding me back. She loves me, and I think I believe that because he's refusing to let me settle. But damn, do I still love her. Most upsetting, she said that she's never felt at home in our house. She's felt like it was always mine and she was a girlfriend staying over. I pressed this issue before we moved, asking her where she'd like to live. Anywhere in the world, I can work from anywhere. She said this was a great idea. Please know that I've also got no design sense, I'm just the muscle. So it's not a matter of my stuff being all over the place, she's decorated very nicely. So here I sit. Sober, crying, fat, with no one to call. No close family or friends in 120-mile radius. I can't bring myself to open the door to the office I just built out for her new career, and the paint is literally drying from earlier tonight. We moved to a family area, no more college scene. I read advice to throw yourself into work and I have a job that almost killed me once. And I will be alone in this house that was, in 2 to 3 years, meant for our family. Money is not an issue. I love the area, I love our home, and I do not wish to leave. It truly is my dream to live here, but it was my dream to live here with our family that we had planned. Life lesson, nothing is set in stone. So how do I even start to cope? We still love each other, we're best friends. I'm going up to sleep in our bed because I can't bring myself to sleep in the guest room and she doesn't want me to. She's going to stay while we untangle our life, and she, along with my family and hers, are afraid of what I'll do to myself. I'm not going anywhere, I've never been suicidal. But I sure as hell can't drink this one away, because the drinking won't stop. But she's going to leave, soon. I know it's not fair to hold on to the idea that she might just need to do some soul searching and come back. And I know that, being so sick for so long, she really didn't have a chance to figure out what she wanted. But I just can't help but feel absolutely gutted that it took this long for it to come out, because I can't see my life without us. It's the most life-shattering thing I've ever felt. Update 1. The past 24 hours have been a beautiful and sad journey. After the initial shock wore off, We've done a lot of talking, and for the first time we've been completely honest with each other at the same time. We've been waiting and waiting for our relationship to fit into the life we've built around it. We've had a hard go at it with the sicknesses, depression, and ultimately the transitional time in our lives. It was a hard time for everyone around us, getting out of college and finding ourselves. We both care so much for each other that we tried to force it to work, ultimately denying our own desires in the process. Personally, I admitted to myself that I am more afraid to be alone in this house and area than I am upset our time living together is ending. I have struggled with this since we moved here 18 months ago, because this is my dream. However, I've had serious doubts about our relationship, and the thing that kept me from saying anything was a fear of the unknown, a fear of living alone, as an adult, for the first time in my life. XGF was very clear that it's not fair for me to feel guilty about the life I've built, and this is very true. Likewise, it is not fair to blame her for not wanting the same life. I do wish she had spoke up sooner, but ultimately I love her for trying to make it work because she wanted me to be happy. XGF simply does not know what she wants. She thought she wanted a house, kids, and a family, and when they started coming she realized that she didn't know what she wanted. She only knows that she doesn't know what she wants. We are both adamant that life is too short to settle. This is important. We've been living as best friends for a long time now, years maybe. Saying this out loud was a relief, because it does not mean either of us want our relationship to end, it just needs to evolve into its proper state. We decided to take the week to pack her stuff up, and while it is sad, it's amazing to be with each other now that this is in the open. Sure, there is the initial feeling of hatred at everything that reminds us of the relationship because it's a hard thing to close an overall happy time in your life when you know it's for the best. But this is not an angry breakup, and it's been important to realize that the memories of these objects are all good memories. When the sweeping feelings of fear and sadness go away, happiness will remain. I've come to realize that it's not healthy to fill a void in oneself with a relationship. My biggest fear is being alone, because I don't yet know how to do that. This relationship became a way for me to fill that void and avoid the fear. I know the process is just starting, and I know there will be some hard days ahead, but I have a feeling that I've felt much more alone in our relationship the past year than I will outside of it. XGF and I aren't denying that we are very good friends, so this isn't goodbye. It's a change in living situation, and a new personal journey for the both of us. And so life goes on. I've started the hunt for the right therapist, and my short-term plan is to get through moving her out. I will admit that the thought of taking her key is terrifying, and I'll miss the small things like the tampon box in the closet and the shoes all over the entry. But as time passes, I think this sadness will reside, and only happy memories will remain as we reminisce and catch up over lunch someday soon. Update 2. I didn't know what to expect from this event, because I had been dreading it for over a year. It's fair to say that the anxiety, worry, and pain it caused in that time ran my life. I didn't take inventory of this worry, though, until we separated. Today I find myself with a familiar pit in my stomach, the one that's become a companion of sorts since we bought the house, and then remember that there is nothing to worry about. It's done. And I truly feel much better. I have a lot of anxiety about the future. I have to come to terms with the fact that I've been preparing for marriage and a child in serious ways, and that plan is on hold. It turns out it was the best thing we could have done, because it took some time for us to open up and ultimately resolve this entire thing. Last night I came home after being out most of the day letting her pack. She hadn't got much done, just kind of started a few chores and was visibly shaken. She saw me and started crying, because, I would find out later, she really thought I was making up the whole "we've been living as best friends" thing to get her through the move out. She sees how much I do love and care for her, and it upset her because she thought she would be breaking my heart. It's important to note that this illustrates her issues. Putting others ahead of yourself is mostly a good thing, but when you value the simple happiness of those around you over your long-term emotional well-being to the extent it affects your quality of life, it's unhealthy. I recognized this and was hell-bent on making sure she wasn't staying the rest of the week just for me. This was the catalyst for probably the most honest and healing talk we've ever had. We sat on the couch for hours, talking about us and what happened. Ultimately she saw that I was completely honest with her, and that changed everything. We had both felt the same way for so long. Once that thin veil of a romantic relationship was lifted and the expectation was gone, we instantly opened up and have actually been closer than we've ever been. It's strange and unexpected, but I think it's very welcomed from both sides. We have a very special relationship, it just isn't romantic. I think the most complicated thing about this situation is how simple it is. We are two people that fell in love, and that love transformed into the love of two close friends over time. We saw it all the way to the end, as far as we could go before a refused proposal ruined our relationship. We tried. It just didn't work in that way. She told me that she had waited for months because she had no idea her feelings were mutual. Years of business have taught me not to wear my heart on my sleeve, and while I lived with these thoughts I was very careful not to show my hand. Why? It's complicated. Our relationship was an ebb and flow of emotion. She was extremely sick at times, and extremely healthy at other times. I was the same with my depression. I have always been her main caregiver during this, and those doubts became hard to justify as true or circumstantial for both of us. Our relationship was very much that of a parent and child at times. It became a waiting game. It's not easy to think straight when you're spending 40 hours in the car 6 weeks in a row with your life on hold, or working a job you hate because you don't want to upset your coworkers by leaving. As we always experienced periods of health after the sickness, there was always a light at the end of the tunnel. We both care for each other so much and understood sickness that we didn't want that to be a determining factor in our future healthy lives. So we both waited. In the spurts of good health we continued to build the life we thought we wanted, never stopping to assess the one determining factor together, our relationship. We simply thought we needed to see the big picture, and in a way I think we did. Now that the life is set up, there are no doubts in either of our minds. We talked a lot about the timing, because she felt terrible it came up when she was in the hospital and around the holiday. Keep in mind she had thought this was one-sided, so she had wanted to say something but didn't want to ruin this time of year. I think this was the first time she really knew I was being truthful when I said I felt the same way, and there's never been a good time to do this. She said she felt guilty because she wanted us to see each other's families one last time. This was a green light for my ultimate conclusion that we weren't crazy. This had simply turned into a great friendship. I asked her, if we were old friends from college, what would have been different about our holiday? She and I both spend days with other friends' families this time of year, and besides maybe sharing a bed instead of taking the floor there was no difference. We are very close friends with each other's family members, and none of those relationships have to change. I think in the end, we are going to go on to stay good friends with very little break because that's what we've been for 2 years. We both think our friendship will grow now that the awkward expectation of romance no longer exists. And we're mutually happy about it. I am very scared to be alone, and that is my next big adventure. It's going to be one day at a time, and I am not looking for a big break until I venture on to start the family hunt from zero. But I know that I have to be okay here by myself to have any sort of chance at a healthy relationship in the future, so that's what I'll do first. Update 3. Today she moved out of our home. We always called it a home, but I don't think we ever got there. I think it was still just a house to both of us. Her whole family decided to come. We are very close and I've always felt closer to them than almost my entire real family. A lot of my pain did not come from our separation because there truly is no heartbreak there. We love each other deeply, but it is a familial love. It has not been romantic love for a long time. My pain came from the thought I was losing part of my family. Their friendship, their intelligence, and their love are all things I've come to feel are my own. And so they came to help her, sure, but they also came to support me. They came to hug me and cry with me, and to let both of us know that this is not crazy boo, the most mature and perfect thing to do. They came to make sure I knew we'd be sailing and laughing around the dinner table very soon. Mostly they came to move her things into the truck and then to move my extra stuff from the basement to the empty spaces. They did this out of love, and I felt that deeply all day today. This whole experience sounds like bullshit to most, and if I were reading this I would agree. What happens when one of us moves on and starts seeing someone else? We don't know. But we do know that we both want to see the other happy, and we've both lived in this relationship with so much guilt watching the other compromise to try and make it fit. In the days that followed our decision to separate we felt a lot of things. It took a lot of time for us to sort through years of buried thoughts and emotion. We did that, lifting the pressure of romance and embracing the warmth of close friendship, and I'm glad we had our week because I don't think our relationship has ever been better. Ultimately we are doing this for the right reasons, and we are doing it for very similar reasons. I have a lot of unresolved issues and my alone time in the past has led to drinking issues and depression because I just didn't have the skills to conquer it. I am afraid to be alone. I can't build a healthy relationship until I learn how to do this. I have been debating our relationship for years against being alone, and while it wasn't the correct decision it was always the easy one. I spent years taking care of her, and it was out of love, but it was also because taking care of myself was harder. This is wrong and not fair to myself or her. She has never been alone and has sought the happiness and validation of others to bring herself happiness. She has stayed in situations not for herself but for others involved because of this. She went to the college her parents wanted and stayed because her roommate wanted her to. She was destroyed in previous relationships because she put her needs second and was walked all over. She stayed in horrible jobs for years because she didn't want to inconvenience her superiors by having to hire a new person. She moved up here for me because she did not know what she truly wanted. She will not be successful in a relationship until she can put herself first and know that she is not compromising herself for the other person, and she was able to finally recognize that because of our relationship. There is no denying that our time together has been the best of both our lives, and there is absolutely a great sadness that it is over. This is not jargon to avoid that. As we separated and untangled our stuff, we were regaining our own individuality and independence. This week there was a lot of crying but the tears were happy, and we've had so many good experiences that we've both grown into better people because of the other. Reliving the past 4 years was therapeutic and beautiful. It brought us closer together as friends, and we celebrated that this experience will only get better from here. We have a long road ahead, and our first lesson is that we are not we anymore. I am me, and she is herself. We have both spent a long time living one life, and we both agree that while it probably isn't what two perfect emotional people would do, it was an amazing experience that we wouldn't change. We both became better people because of each other, and that's a successful relationship in my book. But it is no longer our house, our bedroom, or our fridge. It is mine, because I live alone now. It is important for me not to cry every time I slip and say we, because I do not yet have any memories. That will come next, and as scary as it might be, I am excited. I will make my house a home, I will not drink to bury the fear, and I will begin therapy and move past my demons. I look forward to learning the fine art form of me. Update 4. Hey bud, I feel for you. My best friend, who just so happens to be your height and weight oddly enough, was in a very similar relationship, except they'd been together 7 years when his ex came out. I can offer you a story of 2 cities, so to speak. I've been best friends with my buddy and his girl since middle school. We and 3 other friends all moved to the same city for college and stayed best friends. Still are to this day. But because of that, some of us didn't make many new friends in college. They broke up right after college and he didn't have many other friends, so he did what you're doing now: wake up, work, home, sleep, over and over. Fast forward to present day, and he's dated a little, but for the most part he's just kind of doing the same old. Hasn't made many friends, keeps to himself. So when my 4-year relationship ended this past December, I was terrified. I had moved out of the city, didn't know anyone besides my ex in a 60-mile radius, and was worried I'd get stuck in the same rut. I had stopped doing a lot of the things I always loved to do, moved away from the people I had done them with, and really fallen into the whole couple's lifestyle. I had forgotten how to live as a me, and only knew how to live as a we. Truth is, you have lost a bit of your single identity because you've been part of a we for so long. It's going to take time to get this back. I'm 8 months out of my relationship and I'm just now starting to feel normal day to day. Riding bikes, building things, I'm finally happy on the regular. But I did something my friend didn't do. I got a therapist. I immediately got out and met new people. It didn't matter if we ultimately didn't get along. I talked to anyone and everyone I met, asked about cool stuff to do in the area, and actually found a few friends to hang out with. Now I'm slowly becoming part of the community in my new area without my ex. I'm involved in a few activities, and I don't sit home after work browsing Reddit every night alone. It's not just relationships or break-ups. Life, all of it, is what you make of it. It's going to take you a while to even feel up to leaving the house, and that's okay. You need time to process the last 7 years, to grieve and accept everything. But I promise that if you put yourself out there, you'll find new friends and activities. You'll start to build a life for yourself, and to be honest, I much prefer my life now to being in a bad relationship. Keep strong, it'll get better. Now on to second story. Discovered my husband's entire life was a web of lies. Now I'm facing annulment, eviction, and pet custody battles. I met my husband 4 years ago, just before moving from PA to GA. Shortly after my move he followed me, and we fell in love. We lived together from 2015 onward, and in mid-November 2018 we married. Today I discovered that virtually everything he has ever told me or demonstrated about his life was a complete fabrication. From specific medical issues to jobs, past and present, to education to family relationships, to the claim that his first language was not English, to phone conversations that never happened to people he knows too. If you can think it, he has lied about it. We live together, but my name is on the lease and I hold the title on both of our cars. He has some belongings in our home, but most of it has been purchased with money that I have earned over our 4 years together, plus money from my personal savings account. I am totally open to letting him walk with all of his stuff, and even signing the older car to him. After a quick internet search, it looks like I might have grounds for annulment of my marriage, on the basis of being seriously misled. Do I? What will I need to be able to prove in order to make it work, and is there anything else I need to keep in mind to aim for an annulment instead of a divorce? He is mentally ill, though quite differently than I was led to believe, and receives SSDI each month, but that is nowhere near enough for him to live on. What is the legal way to get him out of my house and life with minimal risk, damage, and cost to me? Also, do I look for a divorce lawyer in this situation? Sorry if that's a dumb question. Also, how does custody of pets work? We have 2 kittens we got in July and I can't imagine separating them. I also can't imagine him being able to take care of them once we're separated, but I don't know if that matters. Update 1. It's been a little bit over a year since I turned to this community as my life fell rather dramatically to pieces around me. My original post didn't get a ton of attention, but the replies I received helped me tremendously, and seeing where I am a year later may also provide some hope for those going through their own crisis. In particular, you helped me construct my initial list of immediate to-do items, and put me on the right track to figure out how to extricate myself from the relationship. The day I first posted here was the day I found out that my then husband had lied and fabricated most of what I knew about him. Other things I did that day included teaching a class to 200 undergrads about 15 minutes after I found out for sure, and kicking off a day-and-a-half long job interview for the next stage in my career, a job which I somehow landed. What unfolded over the following 3 months can really only be described as living my way through my own version of a Lifetime movie. At some point I moved into an extended stay hotel, and as time passed I learned about the depths and breadths of the lies and deceit he'd used to both control me and get what he wanted, and the lengths he'd go to try and get his grip back on what he'd successfully manipulated his way through for about 4 years. What I know now, and what I'm kind of glad I didn't really know then, was that I wasn't actually as safe with him as I thought I was. So I'm thankful I managed to get out with only psychological/emotional/financial burden, and no physical trauma. About 2.5 months later I successfully had my marriage annulled on the basis of fraudulent coercion to marry. I ended up doing the necessary research and filing the paperwork myself, which was not an easy task, but was both cheaper and faster than it was going to be if I hired a lawyer. A few weeks after the annulment I moved my belongings out of our apartment and moved to a new city and my new job. Without him, but with the kittens. As of late June I finally had him convinced that contacting me was pointless because he wasn't getting me back, and so I've been largely free to recover from the trauma and crisis mode I lived in for about 3 months. One of the things I've learned from all of this is how incredibly difficult it is to get out of a relationship in a situation like this. Besides the obvious difficulty of navigating the legal system, and the cost associated with it, there's the cognitive dissonance of constantly trying to remember to relate to that other person in light of the new information you've found out about them. It really and truly took every life skill and tremendous support of my family and friends network to get out in, more or less, one piece. And even still the road to recovery and a return to thriving is a long one. So, thanks to those who helped me back on that terrible day in January 2019. And if you know someone who is going through something like this, please offer whatever you can in support. Because they definitely need it.